This is Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined once again by, and still the English heavyweight champion, Fabio Wardley. Fabio, how are you?
I'm good. How's things with you, mate? You all right?
I'm really good, thanks. I saw you at the weigh-in last week, and just after getting off the scales, it was a bit tense. And you said, I'm the champion. He's got to come and take the title off me. You didn't say it to me. I was eavesdropping. But the point is, he did give it a good effort and try and take the title off you. But it just seemed to anger you, if anything. And you got rid of Nick Webb in the first round. Career best victory, in your view?
I don't know. If anything, I still I kind of give. I don't know. It's not career best in terms of the opponent, but I still my best win for me is the Simon one. Simon Bolelli is initially winning the title. I think because I think that was such a big step, such a big milestone for me to kind of tick off. That so far, that's kind of my biggest moment so far, to me, anyways.
Nonetheless, the manner of the victory was pretty, memorable, explosive. Was that kind of the plan to match fire with fire from the start, or was it more to kind of box your way into the fight?
No, it wasn't the plan at all. And I don't. If that hadn't ended in the first round, I'd have got the hairdryer treatment in my corner. Yeah, it was a decision I just made on the fly, really. Because the game plan was to just box and move for a few rounds, wear Nick through. He hasn't been known to have the greatest of engines, so it was just a box and move, kind of wear him in. I thought he'd come out quite fiery, like he did. So it was just to kind of keep him at bay for a bit. But after about a minute and a half, he was really kind of working through and letting some shots go and stuff. And I was thinking he's building up a bit of a head of steam here. So if I let him kind of get away with this unchecked for too long, he can kind of run off with it a bit. And me trying to close the gap in just terms of that kind of battle for the fight will prove harder to do. So initially, it was a decision to meet fire with fire, but it was only supposed to be short term. It was supposed to just kind of set him back a bit, kind of make him think a bit more, put him back into his place slightly so he doesn't get too carried away. But some of those combinations landed pretty clean and bounced his head back quite a bit, which I noticed. So I decided to just push on and push through.
And there was a bit of contention towards the end. It's been raised on social media about whether or not he should have been given a count. There was a point when you were unloading in the corner and he kind of sat on the ropes. And even you seemed to pause for a second as if the referee was going to do something, but didn't. And ultimately you got the stoppage. I think most people recognised that the fight was only going one way by that point. But what did you make of the whole, ropes held him up or not question?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did, and the ref could have stepped in at that point. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because it wasn't like he completely fell and dropped to the side. He more just leaned on them and used them for a bit of kind of just support, which isn't necessarily a clear knockdown. But the way I kind of saw him kind of like curl away and look towards the rope is why I kind of eased off slightly. I wasn't trying to smash him on top of the head or the back of the head or anything. So I was waiting for the ref to at least step in and separate it a bit or nothing. But when he didn't, I decided that I've got to carry through and finish the job, and which I did. And even when he went down, the ref could have gave him time, stood him back up. But like with Nick's track record, he's not being known to kind of come back around from those type of kind of bombardments. So, and that's no discredit to him. It's just to say that the ref might have known that, he might have thought that in the back of his head and just thought he's not coming back around here. And I think from that point, he hadn't thrown a punch for quite a while. Since I'd put him in the other corner and he'd made his way around to the other side, he still hadn't thrown a punch. So the ref probably took that into account as well.
Now, you seem quite hyped up for this one. You don't normally. You seem very laid back, but certainly at the weigh-in and at the press conference, I don't know if there was genuine needle, but you certainly seem very motivated for this one. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think motivated is the best word for it. It wasn't that I even said in the build-up, I haven't actually got any pure distaste or dislike for Nick as a person. I get frustrated when I want something in terms of that being the Nick Webb fight and it was being denied to me. And then I eventually get it. So I had a bit more between my teeth that time around, but it was just all in the name of getting the fight. And once I'd got the fight and once we'd got there, then yeah, I was happier.
And although it wasn't the plan to bomb him out in a round, is there an element of it that's pretty cool because you're on the zone, it's a new audience theoretically, and they're getting to see you as this explosive, dangerous fighter who gets knockouts?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is good. It's great, isn't it? It's like, don't get me wrong, it's always great to get a big knockout or a big win or an early stoppage or whatever else. But it's nice to. I think I've shown a few different varieties to my game in the fights that I've had now. But that one being kind of the first big announcement to the zone, is always a great kind of stepping stone to move forward with. I'm sure a lot of people watching that who may not have seen me before or weren't fans or weren't interested in me before may now have a bit more of an added interest to kind of see what I do in my next fight, which is always good.
And talking of the next fight, any ideas who that'll be or what level that'll be? The British title has been talked about for a long time, but at the moment it's still not been made vacant, I don't believe. What's the plan?
Yeah, it's a hard one, isn't it? Because there's a bit of a backlog. Everyone's waiting around. Everyone's waiting to see what kind of Joshua and that does, and then that trickles down to all the way through the levels, all the way down to my level, and creates a bit of a pause and a block, like you're saying, with Joe holding on to the belts that he has, which again he's more than entitled to do. But it just creates a bit of a pause. So as and when I'm ready to go again, we'll assess the situation and see what's available. If not, if the British isn't available, or if that's just not an option, then I'll stick me in another good, just decent testing fight. I still only had 12 fights. That's not many. I still got a lot of time to learn. So another 2 or 3, however many good testing fights wouldn't go amiss.
And would that be, do you think, kind of foreign opposition, maybe some guys from the US who are more experienced, the likes of Eric Molina, but obviously not him again, but that similar sort of ilk?
Yeah, probably in around that region. Yeah, probably in around that region, in around that experience level. People that are kind of wise, they've been in the game a while, that can handle a few storms and some different things thrown their way, not ones that are just going to roll over straight away, because I've had a few of those and I don't need any more of those. I need tests. I need people who are going to get stuck in and sometimes meet me in there when I do start letting go.
And in the meantime, presumably there's still a lot more learning to do in the gym and in sparring as well, because you've never been reticent from sparring some of the better heavyweights around.
Yeah, of course. Like I say, I pick up experience everywhere that I can, whether that be in the ring or whether it be in sparring. So it's always great to jump in with those high level guys and just get more of that. So that's all the plan is right now, is just to get more experience, learn more, and get better.
And obviously Dillian's going to be out, we think, in the US towards the end of the year, or at least later in the year. Is that something that appeals to you, not necessarily on his show, but going out to the US?
Yeah, definitely. It's a completely different market. And kind of the vibe and the whole shows and everything with America is all a bit different. So it'd be something new, a different thing to kind of tick off and to have on my list and say I've done. So most definitely America always appeals, because it's a great area to fight. It's a great place to fight, and they love their boxing. So I'd love to go over there at some point and fight.
I mean, we're seeing in a couple of weeks Daniel Dubois making his US debut on the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley show. What would you make of that and the whole kind of crossover YouTuber environment or element to boxing now?
It has its pros and cons, doesn't it? Like, it's not. I'm not going to completely condemn it. I'm not saying it's the worst thing in the world. I'm not saying it's the best either, but I understand why it's being done. I can understand the money it generates. I can understand the interest it generates, the numbers it generates. And those things do make sense when you have to look at them properly. I do understand the purists as well of boxing don't like to see the sport diluted in such a way, but sometimes you kind of have to compromise with a bit of both to help grow, because some of those casuals that come over from that side will eventually become purists later down the line, maybe not initially, but it's all about growing a new audience, not just for those fighters individually, but for just boxing as a whole. So it has its pros to it. I'm not completely against it.
Do you think your own kind of rise and development is I don't know, illustrative of the fact that you don't need to have the traditional amateur background to become a player in the professional side of the sport?
Yeah, I think that's kind of that's what I'm trying to carry on my back all the way through this, is to be a different point to look towards. I think, like, even to be fair, it's probably a great example to say that now with everything that's going on with the Olympics and stuff, to see the great kind of performance that we've put on as a nation in the GB squad, and how well we've done and how many medals we've picked up, and no doubt majority of those guys will then soon go on to be pros. and obviously they're looked to be like, oh, well, I need to do that, and then I can get this and get that, and that's kind of that is the more conventional, traditional route to go down. But I want to be, like I say, that look towards to show that there are other options, because not everyone gets the same options. Not everyone's kind of dealt the same hand. So I want to be the one that people can kind of look at and point towards and say, you know what, I haven't got that amateur experience, or I didn't go to the Olympics, or I haven't done this, I haven't done that, but Fabio's done it, and he's managed to get so far, and he's managed to get here, and he's managed to get there, off of purely just commitment and hard work. So if I can do that, if he can do it, then I can do it. And that's what I want. That is a big driving factor for me.
Great stuff. Well, really, really appreciate your time, especially so soon after the fight. And once you get another date announced, let me know. And yeah, we'll do this again, if you don't mind.
Definitely, mate. No worries. Sounds good.